Deputy, and I'll call on Deputy Desi Ellis to conclude his 5 minutes.
Yesterday, Ministers, you mentioned about a reduction since 2011 of the number of people on the housing waiting list from 98,000 to 89,872. You neglected to mention from 2011 anyone coming onto RAS would be removed from the housing list. Since RAS now stands at 36,000, it's up from 15,000 from 2011. That figure is quite revealing. While the numbers have moved around, they have risen overall. Despite removing RAS tenants from the waiting lists, they've gone up by about 29,000. The entire number of households not housed or inadequately housed by the state has actually increased by 40,000 to about 125,000 households since 2011. When you consider that 1,500 adults and 640 dependent children are in emergency accommodation in Dublin alone, the facts are clear. We are not improving at all. If that is not a crisis, I don't know what is. Our proposal, Ministers, are not fantasy economics, as was claimed by yourself last night. It is a real proposal based on money that is there and that has been identified, and that we are not proposing to be spent on anything else. We have isolated £1 billion from the Strategic Investment Fund for social housing investment. But we can only make proposals. It is up to you, Ministers, whether you treat the issue with the seriousness it deserves or resort to the kind of constructive debate reserved for cranks in the journal.ie comments section. Minister, you said last night that significant new bills are absolutely required. You 250 million, it is reported, you are asking for in the next budget. It would be welcome, but it simply would be too little too late. Minister, you claimed last night that the government are pursuing a housing-led approach. To illustrate this, you listed off figures of houses being provided. You then listed some of those figures again, either to confuse or to emphasise, just as Jan O'Sullivan done as a minister when she repeatedly announced NAMA's undelivered promises as if they were new and repackaged adoptions cuts as funding boosts, when they turned out to be a little less severe. Spin and misinformation put a roof over no one's head except the spin doctors. They certainly are not going without while Labour is in government. A housing-led approach requires new homes. It requires stable, secure homes, which can only be provided in such numbers by local authorities. That is why we need €1 billion investment. That is why we need to establish local authority housing trusts, which, Minister, you failed to address today and the other day. Otherwise, all your policies and approaches are worth nothing. The Simon community launching their annual review and were very, very clear. Not enough housing is being delivered. As Sam McGuinness from Dublin Simon told journalists, the 2014 target of 1,100 tenancies for Dublin has been reduced by 30% because of the complete collapse in the private rented and social housing market, with additional housing extremely slow to come on stream. Instead, temporary accommodation has become a long-term solution, as at least 50% of people are now stuck in emergency shelters for more than 6 months, with little or no hope for the future. Simon now say the goal of ending long-term homelessness by 2016 is now unachievable. It's fantasy. This is due to the failures of this government who set that very deadline. Not only is homelessness not going away, it is worse than ever before. It's clear from all the agencies, you should listen to all the agencies, that there is a real crisis. And not, I don't know, you seem to be going around like your head is in the sand or something. Peter McVarry calls it a tsunami. We have no real idea of the scale of the problem due to the hidden nature of much homelessness. But we do know that 10,000 people contacted Focus Ireland last year for help. That is just one organisation. Those are just the people who asked for help. We know in Dublin last week, 158 people slept rough. We don't know how many we missed on that count, though. How many lay in cold swaths, enclosed parks, wastelands, abandoned buildings, containers, dumpsters and cars. 158 is the bare minimum of the people who slept on the streets that night, and every night in our capital. These figures are not distortions, they are not spin, they lay the bare truth of this crisis. You can either be truthful and look with us for solutions, engage with our proposals, be critical, even be critical, but not flippant as you have been. We need to be bold and we need to be ambitious. We don't want to be back here in 6 months' time, in the year and the year after, and the same problem again.
Thank you, Deputy. I now must put the question.